We now take a close look at the tariff war between the United States and China. A lot is going on. This is where tariffs are the weapons and the average Americans appear to be the collateral damage. US President Donald Trump is threatening an additional 50% tariff on Chinese imports unless Beijing backs down from its own retaliatory measures. But China is not blinking. In fact, it's hitting back, promising to quote-unquote fight to the end.
The actions of the US side have not demonstrated any genuine willingness for serious dialogue. If the US truly wishes to engage in talks, it should adopt an attitude of equality, mutual respect and reciprocity. If it persists in disregarding the common interests of both countries and the international community and insists on escalating the trade and tariff conflict, China will, as always, fight to the end.
Now, this is not just another political standoff across the Pacific. This is a full-blown economic standoff between the world's two largest economies that are deeply intertwined. For China, the US is a top market for electronics, machinery, furniture, toys. For America, China buys massive volumes of oil seeds, grains, aircraft, pharmaceuticals. But before we go any further at this point, it's important to understand how we got here in the first place. Last week, US President Donald Trump slapped a 34% tariff on Chinese goods, adding to the tariffs he had already levied earlier, bringing the total tariffs to 54%. And Trump did not stop there, by the way. In a post on his Truth Social account, Trump warned that if China does not pull back its 34% retaliatory tax, he will pile on an additional 50%, pushing the US tariffs on Chinese imports to 104%. And China responded with immediate countermeasures. Besides Beijing announcing a 34% duty on US imports, it suspended shipments of poultry, bone meal from 6 American companies and blacklisted 27 US firms. In fact, China placed export curbs on key rare earth elements, prohibited exports of dual-use items to a dozen US entities. According to experts, China has been prepared for such a scenario. According to them, Beijing has diversified its markets, ramped up domestic consumption, and developed supply chains that don't rely heavily on the United States market, and hence is retaliating with equal measure. But the question remains, who is the one likely to be impacted the most by this trade war? It's the average American, after all. According to economic researchers, the cost of Trump's tariffs for American households could range anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 per year, impacting their weekly groceries, education fees, monthly utility bills, among others. And with families living paycheck to paycheck in a way, feeling its impact first and the worst, the cost of everyday staples from oats to bananas is expected to get higher. Imported electronics, clothing, toys, even auto parts from China will become considerably more expensive. The US does not just rely on Chinese imports for phones or toys, building materials, textile, critical household goods also flow in from across the Pacific. And according to experts, replacing such products by simply producing them in America is not that straightforward. It's not that easy. It will take decades to rebuild domestic supply chains for such products, adding that even if such a scenario does exist, inflation would be inevitable. American businesses are rushing to secure alternate suppliers. Others are preparing to downside. That means layoffs are on the table, and American jobs are at risk. So is this trade war with China looking less like a tactical move and more like a strategic blunder by Trump? Or is it the other way around? China is not collapsing under these tariffs for now. In fact, its stock markets bounced back earlier today. The Hang Seng Index surged 2%. The Shanghai Composite gained 0.3%. The blue chip CSI 300 index climbed 0.2%. US stocks have also opened higher, setting the stage for a rebound. The Dow rose 1,360 points, or 3.6%. The broader S&P 500 has also gained. So here we are, two economic giants locked in this high-stake battle. One is threatening, the other is retaliating, and vice versa. And caught in the crossfire is the average consumer, who did not, of course, start the fight, but appears likely to pay the price for it. The question still is, who blinks first? Will the White House reconsider its policy? Will Beijing double down? We'll have to wait and watch. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.